And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse.
No, I think we do these.
And yours truly, Robert Reich. We are not in our normal place today. We are actually in Central Park in New York City. And Heather, why are we in New York?
Well, we're here. First of all, I've always wanted to live from New York. It's Saturday morning.
It is.
How did that?
That's pretty good.
That was pretty good.
That was good.
We are here because The Last Class is a documentary that Inequality Media Civic Action has produced. And it is about Professor Reich's last semester of teaching, your humanity.
Oh, come on. I don't want to be embarrassed.
Talk about it. Okay, anyway, we're here for a movie and everyone should see it. Okay, now back to the coffee.
And we're also here because we have a new mayor.
Yeah, we did. We're on site.
We're not, I mean, he hasn't been elected yet, but it's likely to be a new mayor.
Yeah.
And this is a new era, possibly.
Mm-hmm. Zohran Mamdani.
In democratic, progressive American politics. Maybe I overstated it. Did I overstate it?
I don't think you overstated it. I mean, have you seen the headlines?
Well, the headlines, some of them are just negative. I mean, the media is upset. The corporate Democrats are beyond themselves. I mean, they are just irate. They are worried. They think he has described himself as a democratic socialist. By the way, do you remember Bernie Sanders at the start of the 2016 primaries? He described himself as a democratic socialist.
Yeah.
And he almost went on to win the presidential primary and would have won it.
I know, but it was a pejorative, but now it's less so, it seems.
I think young people actually like the term democratic socialist.
I think you're exactly right.
I've done a number of show of hands and
one-off interviews, focus groups of one.
Yes, with my granddaughter, for example. I mean, they don't mind Democrats; they like it.
But it is wild to watch the headlines and to is there a rift? Will the party ever come back?
Oh, and also the Associated Press had this phrase about the pragmatic wing of the Democratic Party
as opposed to the
non-pragmatic, the idealistic.
Right.
I mean, it's just such horseshit. They're worried. I mean, the corporate and Wall Street Democrats are all worried because they don't want. It's not that they're worried about winning elections. They're worried about somebody like AOC or Mamdani or Bernie Sanders, for that matter. Anybody who actually is talking about what's happened to the economy and why.
And who refuses to take corporate dollars and who is supremely authentic.
And who wants to raise taxes on big corporations and the wealthy in order to pay for what people need, instead of doing the opposite, which is what Trump is doing, raiding Medicaid and food stamps and nutrition assistance in order to provide a big tax cut for the wealthy. So obviously corporate Democrats are worried. Good.
Well, you endorsed Mamdani.
Yeah, I did.
This is exciting. I find it invigorating.
I do too. First of all, I like Central Park.
Oh, that, yeah.
And we're sitting, we were sitting.
How's your coffee?
Yeah, my coffee is good. It's New York coffee. I had a New York bagel this morning.
Me too. I think some of it's still in my teeth. I apologize.
Well, let me see. We're sitting outside the Museum of Natural History. And inside, I know, there is a set of dinosaurs, including moderate Republicans.
Oh,
yes.
There it is.
But the point is that this really does feel like a lot of energy and excitement in politics for the first time in a very long time.
That's what I think. And it's fun to watch it online. And it's fun, the underdog. What was, who knew his name?
He had less than 1% name recognition when he started. And the person we have not even mentioned yet, Andrew Cuomo, not only did he have huge name recognition, he had a giant war chest. I mean, this is what I think Democrats have a hard time understanding, many do, is that right now the biggest force in politics is anti-establishment rage against a system that seems rigged, and is rigged. It is rigged.
With all due respect, you spoke about this in 2016.
With all due respect, I talked about it in 1994.
Right. But I mean, really, this is old news-ish.
Well, it's old news-ish until you actually look at elections. And it's new news-ish in terms of actually people breaking through and doing what I had hoped they would do for years. So I think this is a cause for celebration.
I think so too. And hope, and I think it's the beginning of some momentum that we've all been looking for, is the way I'm seeing it.
Me too.
The first chapter.
I think this is definitely chapter 1. And you have, it's not just, some people want to write it off as New York. New York.
Right.
New York. This is just New York. But it's not just New York. It really is something that's happening across the country. People are beginning to realize that big corporations and the corruption that comes with concentrated wealth and power, and that comes with the wealthy having almost a record amount of the nation's wealth, that spells corruption.
Right. But also, it's a big, small race, but you endorsed, we had former presidents endorse.
Wait a minute. My former boss endorsed Andrew Cuomo.
Right.
Yeah.
But so that's a small race that's a big race. There was some national attention on this.
Yeah, not because of my endorsement, but
no.
But yes, Andrew Cuomo. I think this could be the end of the Cuomo dynasty.
Right. But isn't he still technically on the ballot?
I think he is. I knew his father quite well.
Tell us.
Mario was a wonderful man.
Oh.
I loved him. He was just such a kind man, and he really was in politics for the right reasons.
Right.
And he was the most articulate. His speeches. Did you ever hear one of Mario Cuomo's speeches?
No, probably, but I don't remember
Probably
them.
before you were born. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
So here, can we move on to other things in the news?
Yes.
Okay. So Trump and the war in the Middle East, supposedly we're on a pause. Did he do what he said he did? I'm not sure.
Never. When you're talking about Donald Trump and you ask, did he do what he said he did?
Right.
He has no credibility with anybody who has half a brain. And when he says he obliterated or eviscerated, what was his word?
I think it was obliterated.
Obliterated, Iran's capacity.
Yeah, and Fodor. And you saw Hegseth was like, you'll need a shovel.
The fact of the matter is the Defense Intelligence Agency came up with its own independent assessment and said that Iran can be back there in 3 months, with its own, wherever it was. At the same level in 3 months. And that to me spells a failure on the part of the Trump administration.
Of course.
A failure not just to eradicate the capacity to make nuclear weapons, but a failure in a more profound way, because right now Iran is on notice that it has to make a nuclear weapon.
I know. But what about the goods? Weren't they able to take some of the uranium to go?
They don't even know where the uranium is. This is kind of a failure of intelligence on top of a failure of intelligence. The stockpile of uranium that is actually of the grade needed for making a nuclear bomb is still there in Iran, and nobody knows where it is. How's that to make you feel comfortable?
Yeah, I'm going to sleep really well. But I think what's important to know is the size of it. It's not the size of the Natural History Museum.
No, it's very small.
Portable.
It's portable. It could be in a briefcase.
In some, or maybe bigger than that.
A backpack. And that makes it scary. Obviously, the whole thing is very scary. And why would Trump? I started to ask you a question just now that I answered for myself. I was going to ask you why would
Welcome
Trump
to the Coffee
and
Klatch.
Pete Hegseth and others around them ever get Trump into that stupid business? The fact of the matter is, Heather.
Pause. What kind of truck is it? Garbage truck.
A big garbage truck. These are the sounds of the city.
This is real life. And a bunch of caps. Okay.
But the question in my mind was, why in the world would Trump and his advisors put him in that kind of position? And the obvious answer is incompetence. Can you imagine Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and these other characters being trustworthy enough and intelligent enough to make these decisions?
Of course not. Or experienced enough. But also, he puts himself in that position. He puts himself in the position where he gets to be the king, making all the decisions, and he hires these court jesters to serve around him.
It is a court.
And he has all the power.
And as long as he has the power and he feels that he looks like he keeps the power and he maintains some modicum of face, then who cares, he says to himself. Doesn't matter what the truth is, doesn't matter what actually happens.
Right.
And that's what we're dealing with, Heather.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, are you hearing this bird? I kind of want to use the Merlin app to see what kind of bird it is. I think it's a finch. What do you think it is?
I think it could be a finch, or it could be a swallow.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to get the app out when you ask the next question and the contest is on. So the judiciary, we've talked about this time and time again. It's one of the places that is still potentially, hopefully, keeping track of the law, keeping Trump somewhat in check. But where do things stand? We've had so many scary things come out of SCOTUS right before they go on break. What are you paying attention to?
The thing that I'm looking at in terms of the transcendent issue here has to do with the separation of powers. The Constitution has 3 branches of government, and there's supposed to be checks and balances. Every school child understands that.
Right.
The judiciary and the legislature and the executive. But you have an executive now that has basically made the legislative branch irrelevant, because the Republicans who are in charge of and in control of the Congress are all under the control of Trump and don't dare say anything that riles Trump. And meanwhile, you have a Trump administration that is now aiming its guns at the judiciary in some weird ways. Did you see what happened with regard to all the district courts in Maryland?
I've never seen. I mean, it's so. Every single judge in Maryland is under. Is it a lawsuit?
It's a defendant. I mean,
by the Department of Justice.
The Department of Justice has actually aimed at made every judge we're talking about district court judges, federal district court judges in Maryland, a defendant in a lawsuit that charges them with intruding unconstitutionally on the executive branch's prerogatives with regard to immigration. Now, the absurdity of this kind of a lawsuit is that it's the judiciary that determines what the executive branch's powers ought to be. You can't sue the executive branch, or you can't sue the judiciary for
doing its job
on the executive branch. I mean, we are in a bonkers state of politics, and it was almost inevitable, Heather, when you have an administration that comes in, a regime that comes in and wants to run everything, that is dictatorial. This is another step toward a Trump dictatorship.
Well, but that's because courts are referees. He doesn't want someone that can say, you committed a foul.
He doesn't want anything or anybody to be able to check him. And I think that's the major point. That's why Donald Trump is not only aiming to be a dictator, it's why he wants to isolate the United States from every international treaty. It's why he wants complete control. He's a control freak, and that kind of controlism, is that a new word? Is it a neologism?
And I'll take it.
That controlism is really antithetical to our constitutional and democratic system.
I know it.
We are at a very, very dangerous impasse, and the question is, what do we do?
And just to interrupt you for a second, here we are in New York City traveling for the Last Class film. Highly recommend everyone see it. And the people that come up to you, it's wild, because I've known you for 20 years now, and I've been around you, and people come up to the former secretary. But the questions now, and the dire looks, and it's, what do we do? Is it the end? How do we, give me a project, give me a sense of hope. Tell me something. It's fascinating to watch the change in trends of the people coming up to you and what they're asking.
It's fascinating and also saddening to me.
I know.
People are, we're talking about average American people just want to know what I can do to change all of this. And the fact of the matter is, in our electoral system, most people there are local elections. There are elections for mayor of New York City and other elections. But in terms of the Trump regime, there is really nothing much that can be done before the 2026 midterm elections. And this is all a sort of a prelude to those midterm elections. But those midterm elections feel like they're far away. And in the meantime, people say to me, and I think they say with a great deal of fear, Trump can do anything.
But also in the meantime, we had the No Kings protests and amazing numbers of people coming out for that. We have a new mayor-elect of New York City, who's a progressive Democrat.
Well, there are reasons to be hopeful. There are green shoots of hope. But the question in my mind, Heather, and I'd like you to give me your reaction to this, we really do need in this country to have an upheaval to the extent that people know that if they do certain kinds of things over the next 2 years, we are going to stop our drift toward dictatorship. People want to know what they can do as a practical matter to change the trajectory that we're going in. And so what would you tell them?
I mean, I think, here comes the truck. Stay engaged is the number one thing. 2 is continue to show up for protests. 3 is don't give in to cynicism, which you love to say. 4 is stay in community. Stay in community in a way where you are finding other like-minded people. I mean, the people you already know, but also people who you don't know. So you can see and feel reassurance and solidarity and be buoyed, because that's part of not being cynical. And so ways to do that are, joining indivisible groups and book clubs. I mean, it ranges the full gamut. Some's political and some's not quite political. To stay involved.
I think those are all good and important. The question that occurs to me is, what about strikes? What about nonviolent civil disobedience?
Right.
What about other things that we can do to protect very vulnerable people? I mean, there are, 5% of the American workforce is now potentially vulnerable to being deported.
Right.
And because they are here technically illegally, although they've been in their communities for years, working very hard. They're not criminals, but ICE is out there I know in my community. So what, do we risk going to jail? Do we put our own liberties on the line?
And if so, where do you begin? I mean, this historically. Is it around corporations and businesses? Is it in town halls? Where are the inroads?
And what is the trigger? I mean, nobody's going to do it alone.
Right.
I mean, protest is kind of a great thing to do, and it's an outlet, and you feel maybe less lonely and reassured when thousands of other people are around you.
And some are very successful. And protests, there's a new book coming out, I'm so excited, by Annie Leonard. And it's going to be, you can have a protest of one that is successful. One person who does, if you do it in a spectacular way, nonviolent.
Yes. And the question is, what is the most effective thing to do now? You and I, through Inequality Media Civic Action, are trying to reach people who are not already convinced.
Right.
Well, that's tricky to do.
It's very tricky. And reach people who are convinced with better messaging to convince others.
But we'll continue to do that. But there is this ongoing question as we drift toward dictatorship.
Yeah.
But I want to just emphasize as we conclude here. And this has been I like doing it.
Also, do you know you won the bird contest? Because I had said it was a finch and you said it was a sparrow. It was a house sparrow, Passer domesticus.
What did I said it was a sparrow.
You said Passer domesticus.
Well, listen, next time you question my bird knowledge.
I didn't. I said this is a fun thing. Let's see who it is.
But it's been lovely to meet you on a park bench
here
in New York City. And also lovely to see all of you from this vantage point, which is unusual. And the next time we're going to meet is in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Is it? I thought we were doing Poughkeepsie.
Maybe it was Poughkeepsie. Anyway, everybody, it has been a memorable week. Bear in mind, there are some wonderful, positive things happening, and the likely election, the primary election here in New York for the mayor of New York is a good example of what can happen when power is unleashed.
Yeah.
There was not big money behind him.
No, it was great to see. Relatively, I loved seeing all the bar graphs of how much money Cuomo brought in. Can I just say bought in? Thank you for coming to New York City for the world premiere of The Last Class. But more importantly, thanks for letting us follow you around on campus. We thought we were just going to do a little video for YouTube. We've eked it out into a feature-length film. I'm so excited about it. Directed by Elliot Kirshner. That's why we're actually here in New York City, but it'll be coming to theaters around the country, and you will have the ability to bring it to a theater near you. And so thank you, Bob, for allowing us to see this, your processing of this particular time in your life and this chapter. And
Heather,
with that, I got you that skywriting.
You did.
As a real thank you.
It says, my
thank
gosh,
you, Professor Rich. They spelled it wrong.
They spelled it. Didn't somebody tell the skywriter that there's an I in Reich?
Yeah.
Anyway, all of you out there, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you next week. Heather and I are here. We're here not for the Coffee Klatch. We're here for what are we here for?
We're here for a movie called The Last Class world premiere.
Listen, let me just say that bagels in New York, I love,
yeah.
in Berkeley.
Oh, he loves
But bagels in New York are a completely different breed altogether, aren't they?
This guy, because I ordered it, had pumpernickel.
Yes, a pumpernickel bagel. I've looked for a pumpernickel bagel all over the East Bay, all over San Francisco. Can't find one.
We got you one. And low-fat schmear, lock schmear. That was his order, folks.
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
And the coffee,
it's okay.
It's okay.